if you're not a front of the pack swimmer, but you're a strong cyclist and runner, Ironman 70.3 Washington might actually be one of the best late season races on the calendar for you. I've raced lake swims, I've raced ocean swims, and I've raced river swims, all in full distance Ironmans as well as Ironman 70.3s. I've completed many of both, and I've coached athletes of all abilities and all levels. And the downriver swim, it just really changes the dynamic of the race, and it gives some athletes an opportunity that they don't get in many traditional 70.3s that have those lake swims and those ocean swims. When you think about the traditional lake swim, ocean swim, strong swimmers, they can create a bigger gap. Swimmers that were competitive at younger ages are really strong swimmers. And then the weaker swimmers, they can lose 5 to 15 minutes before the bike even starts. And many athletes that come out on later, not in the front of the pack on that swim, they spend the entire day trying to make up sort of that lost time on the swim, right, to catch up to try to get that qualifying slot. Where in Washington, and same with Oregon, but Washington's in just about 13 weeks. You have a downriver swim in Washington. It's in the Columbia River, so the current helps everybody. And what it does, it compresses the field. It keeps it closer together because everyone has that current, that advantage of the current. And the swim still matters. You still need to be trained and ready to swim the distance. But if you're typically not a front of the pack swimmer, you're going to lose less time than if you did in a lake or an ocean race. So that gives a good advantage to people who are stronger at the bike and the run, but swim might not be their strongest point. So when you're looking at why Ironman 70.3 benefits strong cyclists and runners, it really does. It comes down to that swim, getting you out in time with the front of the pack. And it also, if you're coming from that running background or you're coming from that cycling background, a lot of triathletes, they start triathlon later in life and they never swam competitively, so they learn how to swim later in life, or they learn how to swim competitively and race later in life, and they typically are not the front of the pack swimmers like people who are college swimmers or swimmed in grade school. But these athletes, they sometimes and often they ride very well. They're really good cyclists and they're really good runners, and they come from a cycling and running background, which that includes me. That's the background I come from, and they struggle to gain swim speed, and they struggle in the training block, whether it's like a 20-week block, 12-week block now to Washington. And what Washington allows you to do is to start that bike closer to all the competitors, and that gets you in the race sooner, right? And you're engaged in the battle in the top tier of the age group, where you can potentially come out and be one of the top 5 in the age group, and some of you may even podium depending how fast your bike and your run is. And that gives you a great opportunity for a qualifying spot for 2027 World Championships. But Ironman 70.3 is also great for beginners, and it's really, the downriver swim's done a great job with this. For many first-time athletes, triathletes, the open water, the crowds in the swim, it can cause some panic. It can kind of feel scary. Some might even miss the cutoffs in a lake or a ocean swim. But courses like Ironman 70.3 Oregon and Ironman Washington 70.3, they really do help reduce that anxiety. You have the current as assistance, so you're going to have a faster swim time. That's going to increase your confidence, make you feel good coming out of the water, going on to the bike, and then the run. So I think races like Oregon and Washington have really helped make triathlon more accessible to everyone, and makes it a great beginner friendly triathlon as well. And I think Washington deserves the attention because we just found out the World Championships are going to be in the U.S. So if you're a U.S.-based triathlete, that's exciting. It makes it easier to travel for and the race in your own country. And it's a World Championship qualifying race. There's 30 slots for both the women and the men. And the swim course profile is just a really attractive profile as well. It's got the rolling hills on the bike, but it's super manageable, especially if you train some rolling hills. And then it's got a flat, pretty fast run, which is really goes into the strengths of faster runners on that. And then again, you reduce that swim penalty if you're not a front of the pack swimmer that you'd get in a lake or an ocean, and keeps you closer together with those top swimmers because you're all swimming at the speed of the current. The current controls a lot of the speed of the swimming there. So many athletes, they automatically assume, right, that they need to be elite swimmers to qualify for Worlds, and at races like Washington, this isn't necessarily true. And then another thing is actually Washington's a little harder to get to for triathletes, so that gives a good advantage for qualification as well. If you're ever been close to qualifying for the Worlds and you think, oh man, if I could just swim faster, I could have qualified for the World Championships. This is a type of race where you could continue, it's 12 weeks away with your swim training, and then execute that bike and execute that run. So it really comes down to still the fitness. You need to be in shape for the 70.3. You need to be at your peak training shape. You need to execute the race, and that includes the swim and as well as the bike and the run, and really just have your nutrition dialed in, be ready to fuel the finish strong, and then make sure you're pacing smart, especially on the bike, so you can finish that run strong and finish a race strong. So the Ironman 70.3 Washington just gives a lot of athletes a better opportunity than many other races or venues might, because of that downriver swim and the fact that it's a rolling bike course and a flat run. But there are some things you want to take in consideration. Some mistakes I think some people can make is thinking that because it's a downriver swim, it's just going to be an easy swim because the down current equals easy. You're still in the water for 20 to 35 minutes, depending on your skills as a swimmer, your speed as a swimmer, even with the current. So you need to be able to swim that distance comfortably. And then another area is just hammering the bike too hard on those rolling hills, going up the short hills a little too fast, not controlling your pace and controlling your energy, and making sure you're ready for the bike. But it is a fun bike course that you can have a good time on and keep a fast pace if you're a really strong cyclist. And then of course just ignoring nutrition and not fueling before, during the race, making sure your energy level's up and you're properly fueled for that strong finish. And then again, not practicing open water swimming because you think the current's going to save you and you can just get a couple pool workouts in and then jump into the downriver swim. You might be able to do that and float down the river, but you'll definitely have a stronger race, more enjoyable race, and a chance to qualify if you're the faster cyclist and runner, and on just more of an enjoyable race as a beginner if you're training those open water swims. So the swim may be more forgiving, but the race still does require preparation, of course, and it's just about 12 weeks away while I'm making this video. I think the people who should race Ironman 70.3 Washington at this point, if you're just signing up, you'd have to have a strong base where you can go right into training for 12 weeks. But in general, I think it's really ideal for first-time 70.3 athletes. Again, that swim does give you some comfort, allows you to come out of the water a little bit more confident, stronger for the rest of the race. So athletes that are nervous about open water swims, this is definitely a great race for you. And then definitely strong cyclists and strong runners that are looking for an age group qualification or chasing that qualification into the World Championships, this is a great race for you as a strong cyclist and a runner. And then it's just not necessarily ideal for athletes that are looking for the hardest courses possible, looking for those ocean water swims, looking for those hills, of course, and not for athletes wanting that highly technical bike course. It's a fun rolling bike course through the wine country there. So it's just a beautiful venue. It's beginner friendly, it has a great atmosphere, and it's a legitimate world championship qualifier and one of the few races that reduces your swim time with that down current and keeps your age group together. So if you're a strong cyclist and a runner who isn't a front of pack swimmer, this may be one of the most athlete friendly 70.3s in North America, especially to qualify for a world championship, along with Ironman Oregon. Oregon's just happening in a couple weeks, so I'm talking about Washington today. And if you're racing Ironman 70.3 Washington and want help building your final race plan, drop me a comment Washington or contact me and I can help set you up with a plan for Ironman 70.3 Washington.